All right. So next up, we have Rupesh.
And I have a question on the podcast. How do we access them?
Okay, so it's going to be on Spotify. Okay, so we're going to be using Spotify, we decided. Okay, so we figured that was the biggest platform, and it's free, and we like free. So we're going to be using that. We are going to be paying for one tool to do the actual podcast production, but we'll use Spotify for the release of it. And yeah, we have a really good group of people putting this together. It's really exciting.
Great.
So yeah, Women in Cyber is our first series that we're going to be doing, and yeah, Marie is a big part of it, and Joe, and Damiano, Dami Lal. I gotta get your name right. Dami Lola. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, just call me Dami.
Oh
Dami.
man, I got all right.
I saved you the trouble.
All right. So anyway, good group of people. So anyway, all right.
Everybody mute, or I'm gonna mute you, just so you know.
Yeah. Good job, Sharon. Look at her, the mute police. I'm scared. I'm going on mute.
It's that scary official background.
All right, Rupesh, you got it. Oh, he's from California, by the way. So yes, California member.
Hi everyone. Greetings. My name is Rupesh. Let me share my presentation first.
And we love the merch shirt.
Oh yeah, thank you. IS Square gave me one, so happy to get one. So cool. So let me. So can you see my screen now?
Yep.
Okay. So first of all, thank you so much for this opportunity to present with this exciting and pretty recent one. Everybody know about this operational technology security, and which is also known as the critical infrastructure. And I would like to go ahead and I'll just mention about some agenda topics. I'll just explain about, just give some idea about myself, basically about the introduction to the operational technology, what are the differences between the IT and OT, why the OT security is required, what are the consequences, OT security landscape, building OT security strategy, what is exactly considered into the strategy, then OT security related few standards, certifications. I will give, since this is OT stuff, which is usually difficult to show any demo, but I got one video from YouTube, so I'll present that, and there is a question and answer session. So about me. So I am Rupesh Shirke, working in the IT and OT for almost 15 years, and with the oil and gas industry and OT for almost 10 years now. And I am.
I think you are not moving the slide.
Not moving the slide. Okay, looks like something. Okay,
you want to put it in presentation mode? Maybe that'll make it easier for you.
I was doing the presentation only. Okay. Let me see. Let me share my full screen, I guess. I'm actually accessing from the browser. That might be the reason. Is it visible now?
Yeah, good.
Okay, sorry about that. So yeah, I was discussing about, I'm working with the IT and OT for almost 15 years, in oil and gas almost 10 years now. I am basically CISSP, CC, ISO 62443, ITIL, CC, and few other certifications. And apart from cybersecurity and OT, my passion is about giving back to the community in terms of volunteering. I am an active member of American Red Cross, United Nations Association, USA, Apochieve, Cyberpeace, Believe in Me, ISA, ISACA, and I'm a vice president of which is a recently incorporated group in SJV, San Joaquin Valley in California. I'm doing judging activities for international, state, and county STEM-related projects for kids. And I'm a member of Cyber Patriot and Women in Cybersecurity. So these are the few ways in which I try myself to be in the community and spend some time and utilize my time to contribute. So let's go ahead. So in this whole presentation, I will be sharing 4 different pictures actually depicting in which where the OT security or operation technology is basically used, starting with the transportation or railway network. So wow, what is basically of operational technology is? Operational technology is also known as industrial control systems. And as per the Wikipedia, the definition says it is a hardware and software that detects or causes a change through direct monitoring and or control of physical devices such as valves, pumps, temperature sensors, gas sensors within industrial process. So it is the way in which the software is interacting with the hardware. Earlier, we also known most commonly as the embedded systems, and in which basically there are multiple hardwares interacting. There is some activity which is being carried out when the user clicks or presses any button or any activity he's initiating. It is actually doing some activity using the temperature sensors, any actuators, or different devices which we have. And these are the pretty good common types of what we call as the hardware or the type used. It's a programmable logic controller, supervisory control data acquisition, distributed control systems, and remote terminal unit. So these are the few names which are pretty commonly used in operational technology, but there are different devices and terminologies used. I know which is pretty huge to mention in this short span of a presentation, but I just tried to mention a few things here. So in any question about the OT, basically definition or what it is OT, or else I'll move to the next slide.
Wait, we got one quick question. I guess this will, would OT be used in the medical device sector? Is that considered
Yes.
OT?
Yes, yes. So there is actually kind of one story. Usually, I just read from the one of the book here when the father and kid, they were traveling. They were just walking, and kid basically ask where the OT or the industrial control system is. They're moving from the different trains. So kid asked, is it here? The father said, yes, it's here as well, because everything is controlled remotely. Then they moved to the production unit. There were some companies, medical companies, other industrial, Pepsi or Coke or any other pharma companies. It was there. Then kid pointed out towards the sky. Do you think is it over there? Father said, yes, it is really, because all the spaceship and satellite which we have, there is OT exists. So it's almost everywhere you can think of. You have all the thermostats, IoT devices, or everywhere the OT exists these days.
Thanks.
Okay, cool. So yeah, this is the slide basically I would like to share about. These are the few few industries where OT exists. Energy, water treatment, the clean drinking water or the sewage water which is going, there is OT. Then oil and gas is always obviously there. It is used for longer duration now. Then there are manufacturing or the OEM manufacturers which exist the OT. Then pulp and paper or any production vast production unit you can think of, OT exists there. Then it's maritime, it's automotive, it's a food and beverages, it's a aviation industry. It's almost everywhere the OT exists these days. But these are the pretty few selected ones which I mentioned here because I got this screenshot or the image. There was no any other screenshot available, but these are the few industries where OT exists. Okay, so now we know everybody knows about the IT, but there are instances where OT is actually combined these days with the IT, and there are a few reasons behind it why the OT use. And this specific slide explains about what are the few major differences between the IT and OT. So when we talk about the IT, it is basically highly connected internet. I don't know if there is any industry where the IT is not connected. It's obviously when IT comes, it's connected to the internet. But in terms of the OT, it was never designed the way it should connect to the internet because it was working for almost 30, 40, 50 or more than that years when internet was not there. And it was not intended because if you think of any production unit, which is actually doing some production on local area, there was no need to connect to the internet. But as soon as it started growing, there was a need to integrate these days. Then if you can think about Gen X technologies use, all the machine learning, AI, or any other new technology you can think of now, it's part of the IT. But in terms of the OT, it is mostly the legacy hardware use, legacy technologies use, because the production is keep on going. There was no need to change. But considering the competition, the fast growth, and fast expectation of the product to be delivered, now the OT is also, they're trying for new Gen X technologies these days. The prime purpose of the IT is to manage and process the data. And in terms of the OT, the prime focus is on maintaining functionality and maintaining the availability, how the data is to be developed. So in the fourth point, it is actually kind of a typo here, but in the IT is basically more about how the applications are developed, how the data is provided. But in terms of the OT, it's a safety is the prime concern, and how the data is available at that specific time, and which is more because in the OT industry, if the slight delay in processing some data in terms of medical equipments, in terms of the aviations or train or oil tank, it actually leads to the disaster. And that's the reason safety and reliability is more crucial in OT. In terms of the IT operations, device management, network maintenance, testing, technical support, others are usually consist in IT. But in terms of the OT, it is highly specialized industries such as energy, manufacturing, oil and gas, robotics, and more basically use. So these are the pretty common and well-known differences in IT and OT. I just want to highlight here. Any question here? Okay. So
No questions.
Okay, no worries. Let's go to the next one. So why basically there is a need of OT security these days? And I'll definitely come up with the examples here. But it's basically it's well-known as a critical infrastructure because it is touching almost each and every individual of the living person or the human at the moment. As I mentioned earlier, it is existing everywhere. So if there's a slight uh, delay or the slight, what we call it as interruption in the providing the services, right? It might make a huge impact. Then there are financial losses, as it is used in multiple fields, many in the vast manufacturing or providing the critical power, water, and electricity, or any other things to the human being. There are a lot of financial losses and the human losses as well. Environmental damage, yes, as it is directly interacting with the human life, such as if I give you an example about sewage water, if it's not controlled properly, it might overflow. In terms of the oil and gas, if the water level is not managed or monitored properly, if the gas level is not monitored properly, then it might explode the whole plant, and obviously it may destroy this. Sorry. Okay. So yes, that's the reason it is more critical in terms of the environmental damage as well. Physical harm, yes, it is not just like IT, which is actually making changes in the application, but when the application or the software is interacting with the hardware, it is physically making impact or physically changing something into the human life. And that's why it's more critical. It's a reputational damage, obviously, because if there is a slight small incident, which we have seen recently of the CrowdStrike, the small damage, small error can make a huge impact. And the data theft is already there. It might lead to the data theft. So I'll give you real life examples, basically, which happened in the OT. So everybody knows about the CrowdStrike. I know it impacted almost everything, but by doing those changes, there are a few systems or OT related industries it impacted. We have seen the aviation, how the flights have impacted. We have seen some medical devices industries as well, on which it makes some impact. Then there is a very well-known impact on the incident. I can think of Colonial Pipeline hack attack, which has happened in 2021, which is a ransomware attack, and which is actually disrupted the whole pipeline for the multiple many states actually. And there another well-known attack was Oldsmar water treatment plant, which is also one of the hackers basically remotely access the water treatment facility, and they tried to make some changes, and it could have been impacted the thousands of human life over there. Okay, I'm
We got a
moving to the
couple of
next.
questions. Hold on.
Yes. Mhm.
All right. Somebody wants to know if you can give a brief example of what the term bolt-on means regarding information security.
You're talking about this slide?
It might have been the slide before. Virginia, you want to?
Yeah, that's me. So I'm wondering,
Mhm.
right, so you say, these systems are so old and they were never intended to be connected to the internet.
Mhm.
Now they are. So I'm wondering how you go about like bolting on this security layer now.
Right, right.
Just wondering how that happens.
Right. Absolutely. Pretty good, nice question. Because now we are starting security, which is we are working on the security at the time of building the applications or configuring. But when it was designed in the past, security was never considered. And that's the reason now industries have tried to find a ways in which we can. I know, because we have seen that there are few devices or the PLCs or any other devices, now they started upgrading themselves, and they're trying to include the security inbuilt. But it is obviously a case by case basis. Companies are now going ahead, and at least the companies which are not connected, they wanted to hide themselves or wanted to control the access. And if I remember correctly, there was another incident happened in the Middle East about in which it was carried out using USB. Everybody knows USB, how critical it is. But when that incident happened, the whole program was copied to one of the USB, and it got injected to the specific oil plant, and they changed the values in the PLCs. But yes, that is a good point. People have now started investing a lot of money, and it's difficult to incorporate security when it was configured 40 or 50 years ago. But companies are now upgrading themselves. They're trying to find us new ways in which they can make some changes. I know in the OT industry, it's really difficult, because even if we try to replace our Windows operating system in OT infrastructure, we usually upgrade directly because we have seen that issue when with Windows 7 we migrated from the earlier version, because the applications which are running on those Windows 7, they were supported for specific hardware. And in order to upgrade to the Windows 7, we have to literally upgrade all the PLCs connected to it, because those programs were not compatible. Those hardware devices were connected in the industry, in the field, those were not compatible. So it's actually a completely kind of a supply chain, or we basically call it as a chain, which we have to replace. So obviously there are some risk assessments we usually do. We follow the different mechanisms in which we can do some analysis, and on the basis of that, industry usually takes an action, or the specific vendor and the manufacturer, they basically take an action to replace or upgrade or whatever the method they wanted to follow. I'm not sure if I replied with the correct answer, but
Yeah, you
yeah.
did. It's yes, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, you're welcome. So, okay, let me go to the next one. So any question on this OT security importance slide? Okay. So OT security landscape, I just would like to explain few things here. What are the basically threats of the OT security? As I mentioned earlier, convergence of IT and OT, as everybody is looking for pretty fast response and looking for some cool new technologies which are actually making human life easy. I can think of example of the AI or machine learning and everything, right? And which is mostly connected to the internet. And that's the reason there is a need to convergence, how usually we can utilize IT in OT just for the better performance, better production, cost saving. And that's the reason sometimes it is really challenging because we have seen the incidents where it's not 100% proof for everybody, but if you have the older devices or there are some bugs which are not remediated, vulnerabilities not remediated, then there are the bad actors usually making some configuration changes to the hardware or the programs, which is actually impacting. And that is the reason sometimes convergence from IT and OT, it's a kind of a threat. The rise of IoT, as everybody know, IoTs are almost every IoT device is always connected to the internet. And when there is a connectivity, obviously the chances of threats or the attacks obviously increases. So that's the reason rise of IoT is also kind of one of the threats to the OT security. Sophisticated attacks, and as the specific description says, there are the nation states basically wanted to disrupt the nation by making some changes to the OT infrastructure. And the recent example obviously says that it's not exactly how how it impacted, but we have seen that SolarWinds attack, and we have seen few other industry recognized attacks in which is also supply chain attacks. So SolarWinds is by making some changes or disrupting any specific application which is used in IT OT. The nation states are actually causing a lot of trouble to the nation. Supply chain attack, it was obviously I've mentioned about that. When the SolarWinds attack happened, it was difficult because SolarWinds is one of the major tool in many OT industries use these days, and it is really challenging. That's the reason sometimes the actual application is working fine, but there are some vulnerabilities into the supply chain related application used by different vendors. Then consequences of breaches is basically it is obviously disturbed in critical infrastructure. There are financial losses, it is safety risk and reputational damage. So trends, we have seen that basically the trend is focused on proactive security. There has to be a layered approach and strategy use like the segmentation, monitoring, threat intelligence, and we should or the zero trust we usually call it as, it's the best one of the few best mechanisms we can use. Then there are regulations and standards. We are fortunate enough that current scenario, there are so many industry recognized standards and regulations available. Whether it's any like the electric or the smart grid, there is a specific standard. For oil and gas, there are standards, and many other industries now come up with few specific standards for themselves, and which is at least saving these specific companies in some way. But obviously, each and every organization is supposed to have some methods and regulations or the compliance activities in place so that they can avoid these attacks. Then importance of visibility and workforce training. I always like the workforce trainings because usually everybody says that the human is the weakest link, and that's the reason the organization always should have the trainings and phishing or any other compliance trainings. They should enforce those trainings and get the resources trained. Then in terms of the whole landscape, I can say about the OT security landscape demands a comprehensive and constantly evolving approach. By understanding the threats, potential consequences, and emerging trends, organization can build robust defense to safeguard their critical infrastructure. Because it is not just an IT, but it's actually directly impacting the human life. And that is the reason I always feel that OT is always evolving industry, and everybody needs to play their part. And even from the physical security to the software development or any other field, testing and everything. So it is actually combined activity, and each and every individual who is working on this specific domain, they should think of the human life, because that's the most crucial which we can save, or which we can avoid any critical damage. Any question here?
Yeah, we got a question. Jesse, go ahead and ask your question.
All right, here I am. Yeah, uh, is SD-WAN used in OT environments?
Yes, we have seen that, because if you can think of now this major oil and gas manufacturer or any electrical instruments or electrical companies which are spread across the globe or across the nation, right? So obviously there is a WAN is required, but we need to see how that WAN can be safely used. We are not using, because if we have 1,000 servers, we are not putting all 1,000 servers on the internet. So we should have this proper firewall in place, proper configuration needs to be done, and we should use a risk assessment. Which are the systems which we can put on the internet, which are put on the WAN network. But yes, it is used considering the geographically disparate or spreaded the specific organization is.
Okay. And how does the OT industry protect itself against hacking attempts?
Yes. So yes, always firewalls, these SIM tools or any other Gen Next firewalls or any other network segmentation, zero trust architecture, risk assessment, this NIST standards and the CSF framework, or all these standards or the frameworks or the technologies basically OT industries are using. Their aim is to safeguard their external facing environment, because they're good if the infrastructure is not in front of the internet, but at least they wanted to avoid any external attacks. Because if you can think of, I've seen the report earlier, there are major attacks happening on OT industry than banking or other sectors, because it gives a devastating actually response, or that's what the nation state is expecting. And that is the reason the companies are using different mechanisms or different measures, different layered approaches these days to safeguard their infrastructure and the applications or devices or whatever industry they work on.
Okay. Also, I was reading an article that the OT industry uses a lot of IoTs, and I was wondering how they protect them.
Yes. We have seen that, or we do have that many IoT devices which are communicating not directly with the internet, but there are the radio signals. And that is the reason it is always challenging to control the radio signals as well. And whenever any organization having those devices, the first thing is they should have the proper control over the way on which those devices are used. And there has to be some control mechanism they need to use. They need to use because we have seen few radio devices has some external connectivity, so they need to control the perimeters as well, how those devices, where those devices are kept into the field. And if the radio signals are used, are we really using the latest operating system or latest software or firmware on those devices? So these are the different instances in which they can control their access. And if it's kept in on the location on the field, there has to be some control region in which it should be locked. It should have the proper security in place. So yes, so we have seen that, and we do have that in industry, in the field. There are many radio signals used in use, because there are the ways in which we cannot have the fiber optic or cable throughout. So we do use some radio signals in order to communicate from one switch to the next switch. So team is really OT industry is basically using all the combinations of for the IoT devices.
Okay, and I have one final question.
Yeah.
What safeguards are in place against cyber attacks in the supply chain?
Yes. So first thing is obviously always is the risk assessment. And whenever we do use any application which is used in the industry on the specific field or on the specific domain or the location, right? So there has to be a risk assessment. We have to analyze all the applications in use, how the impact is. If that's the reason, if you see in OT, when the whole world is running on the Windows 10 or other OS, it was few industries or OT, they were running on still the old OSs. because there are a lot of what you call it as a testing and assessment and functionality checks and everything is required. And whenever Microsoft or any vendor is providing the patches, it was thoroughly tested. So there is a change mechanism, change management process is pretty crucial here, because if you see CrowdStrike attack, if it was tested properly, that specific application is, we could have avoided those kind of attacks as well. Same happened in this OT environment, because we do a lot of testing, lot of assessment in order to deliver any new patch, any new application or software. So risk assessment, thorough testing, these are the few different mechanisms we use in OT industry.
Okay, well, thank you for that.
Yep, you're welcome. So OT security strategy, that's what I was explaining about. What are the ways in which we can protect our infrastructure, assess your environment. We should have a proper inventory, network mapping, vulnerability assessment to assess the infrastructure, then prioritize risk. Not every risk, each and every risk needs to be remediated. So we should need to identify what are the critical systems. We need to evaluate threats, develop a risk register, then implement security measures, network segmentation, access control, patch management, system hardening, monitoring and detection. The word looks simple, but usually these are the major savings or major guards for the OT industry. Because if you see, we should have proper network segmentation, which plays a critical role. Patch management, obviously, we should have the proper patching process in place. That's why sometimes it takes 2, 3, 4 months or 6 months even to remediate a specific vulnerability. And we're supposed to have develop an incident response plan, define roles and responsibility, detection and analysis, containment and eradication and recovery. How we can respond to the incidents is also one of the major steps here. People and process, obviously security awareness training, supply chain risk management, regular reviews and audits. And reviews and audits, I pretty like it, because sometimes those are the checks by which organizations are actually doing some activity. We have seen that due to this kind of forceful tasks which are required, I've seen that organizations are actually spending efforts to fix their issues. And that's the reason regular audits and reviews plays a critical role here. Then audits and compliance, security culture, organizations should have a security culture, how the security needs to be implemented, it needs to be designed. There has to be some culture in which everybody can think of how we secure a specific zone or specific application and infrastructure. So in terms of the OT security strategy, I can think of building an OT security strategy is an ongoing process. By continuously monitoring your environment, adapting new threats, and refining your approach, you can significantly improve organization resiliency against cyber attacks. Okay, so we just have a couple of more slides. I just would like to explain about few OT security standards or best practices we can use. NIST SP 800-82 R3 is a basically guidance to the OT security, which is developed by National Institute of Standards and Technology, and a pretty good standard if anybody wants to implement, which is a comprehensive guide which provides a roadmap. Then IEC 62443, which is an international standard series by International Electrotechnical Commission, which is focused on industrial automation and control systems. It covers various aspects of security requirements, network security, and vulnerability assessments. I'm glad to be part of ISA 62443 committee on the patch management. So they follow pretty good mechanism or the method in which we update all the standards. Then choosing the right standard is more critical. There are few industry recognized standards. Different industries have specific regulations and recommendation standards. Size and complexity, larger and more complex OT systems may require more comprehensive standards like NIST SP 800-82. Yeah, there are regulatory requirements as well. Many industries have the regulatory requirements as well. So I just would like to show some pretty good industry recognized certifications if anybody wants to go to, like ISA, International Society of Automation, which has a pretty good certification starting with the 62443, which is a combination of 4 different certifications. And when we achieve that, you'll get the 62443 expert badge. Then there is a Science Institute, GICSP, GAC Industrial Cybersecurity Professional, which is a pretty awesome certifications to have, and which has a pretty good value. And yeah, the certifications plays a good role because it proves your credibility, what are the things you know, and which is well proven. So it is good to have these kind of certifications.
So where are you? What certifications do you have?
Yeah, I am 62443 at the moment, and I would like to get a GSSP, but I know SAN certifications are always costly. So yeah, I'm still on that path, but hope to get one soon. Any question here before I go to the demo?
Oh, we got a demo. All right, let's go to the demo. We don't have much time. Let's go.
Yeah, that's the reason I'm just rushing here now. So demo is actually one of the YouTube link which I got it for what the OT security why is required. So this is just a few minutes video. Can you hear this voice actually?
He didn't play it yet. Go ahead. Let's see.
Can you hear me?
We may not be able to because
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I will just.
Oh, there's transcripts on the bottom. Oh, you have to turn on the voice. There's a you have it on mute on YouTube.
Okay, I did that, but let me.
On the bottom left of YouTube.
Yeah, let me first maximize this.
Yeah, unfortunately not. I think you have to something you have to do ahead of time.
It's not right?
No.
No, just share the link in the
I'll
chat
share the link.
for the YouTube video.
Yeah.
Yes, I have copied the link. That's because I'm not using Zoom application here. I'm using my work laptop, and it's just.
Oh, are you using the browser? Is that why?
Yes, I'm using
that's
browser.
why.
I don't have
All right.
Zoom was not supported as yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
So let me ping you the link. So I'll just give you an explanation about the video. Is basically the video basically tells us the actual working in which the OT attack works. So what it does is it basically it is a simulation of how the manufacturing works. It is doing some processing, building some devices, and it is moving through the conveyor belt. But in this specific bug or the attack, the attacker actually changed the value from the application, and it basically expedite that specific belt, or it slows the production of the operation, and which could result it into the different behavior. So this is actually doing some product explanation here. They would like basically wanted to control those attacks. If you see here, there are multiple users can comment or multiple users values can be changed. So that's what this is all about. But yeah, there is a link. Maybe you can check later. But I guess that's it. I guess I don't have any other question. Hope I have completed on time.
You were phenomenal. Everybody's praising you. Great job.
Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity.
Rupesh does a lot of community work, as you can see, and we're really lucky to have him as a member. I will make one critique, though. I noticed on your LinkedIn page, you say you're part of the New York chapter, and you need to fix that right away, okay?
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. I'll definitely get that. Okay, I'll definitely. Okay.
Anyway, he's also part of California startup chapter as well. So
yes.
Yeah, so very great. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you all for attending tonight's meeting, and this has been a lot of fun. Hope to see you at a future event. Again, we're going to have a lot of in-person and virtual events this coming second part of the year. Really excited about it. And if you want to volunteer for anything, just give me a shout out. And a lot of great things. And be a mentor or a mentee. I really recommend you do that. I mean, it's really important. So thank you all. Have a great night. And I will see you soon.
Thanks, Ken.
Bye.
Bye, thanks, Ken. Thanks, and
Bye.
thank
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks so much.
Take care.